Thank you, Jack. And I never said that. I don't know. Maybe I did. Anyway, thank you all for being with us once again. A magical evening is always a highlight of my year, and it's been an honor to join the Reeve Foundation board and the Champions Committee. This event and this foundation and this cause are deeply personal for me, and I'm happy that the progress being made is real. And as you will see throughout the evening, it's inspiring. This community, this room, is full of inspiring members. It's a privilege to know many of them. For me, of course, I still draw inspiration from my mom and dad. And I'll admit, it's strange to think that it's been so long since they were last with us, leading the way. Time is a fickle thing. It's been 10 years since my dad died. Sometimes it feels like forever, and others it feels like mere moments. He is always on my mind, though. He was my first hero. My favorite saying of his, other than "I love you," is about his conception of what it means to be a hero. A hero, he said, is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. That describes so many of you here with us tonight. You are my heroes. You are all of our heroes, and we thank you. The award I am so profoundly honored to help present tonight is the Christopher Reeve Spirit of Courage Award, and tonight's recipient could not be more deserving of this distinction. As I was searching for the right words to share with you here this evening, my thoughts kept returning to that one in particular, courage. It seems so simple, but what does it mean? To be honest, I don't know. I think courage manifests itself in obvious ways like facing a fear or standing up for what you believe in, even if it's unpopular. But courage runs so much deeper than that. There's a nuance to the idea of courage that appears in places like cold rinks in Maine in the early winter mornings, a world away from hockey stardom, but intimately connected to it by a dream. It takes courage to follow that dream. It takes courage to write out 3 specific goals: earn a college hockey scholarship, sign a National Hockey League contract, make the U.S. Olympic hockey team, and then fight like hell to spite your naysayers and your fear of failure. It then takes a special kind of courage, the courage of a true hero, when your dream is taken from you 11 seconds into your first college game, to say to your father as he knelt beside you on the ice, "I made it." Travis Roy made it. He had the courage to succeed when many told him he could not. He had the courage to accept his new life-changing challenge and make a difference. He has the courage to help others when no one would fault him for helping only himself. He has the courage to dedicate his life to the Travis Roy Foundation, which has given millions of dollars in grants to spinal cord research and quality of life organizations, including more than $400,000 to the Reeve Foundation. I think of my dad in times like these, 10 years later, and I wonder if he'd be proud of the things I've done and the choices I've made and the people I'd admire. I hope so. There's no doubt, though, that he would want me to live my life like Travis Roy, with honor, grace, and yes, courage. That is a goal to which we should all aspire. I cannot overstate how much it means to me to share a stage with a hero like Travis in a room full of heroes like you. I know that our dinner chair, Dave Barger, feels the same way. Dave is a dear friend of Travis's, and he's also the CEO of JetBlue Airways, which has been hugely supportive of our event this year. So before bringing Dave out to say a few words on behalf of the Reeve Foundation, I wanted to personally thank him for JetBlue's generosity, which a partnership we hope to continue. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Barger.
Will, thank you so much for those heartfelt words. It's like you, I'm just absolutely honored to share a couple words, couple thoughts regarding a hero of mine, Travis Roy, as well. It's, if I may, 1995, when this injury took place, and you think 11 seconds on the ice, as Will shared that story, I was nowhere near New York City as we were putting together JetBlue Airways. And so now on stage here in 2014, close to 20 years later, on behalf of 16,000 crew members, I'm here representing our company, but also, more importantly, as a friend to Travis, his friends, and certainly his family. 1995, the accident takes place. I'm a lifelong hockey fan, still am. Detroit Red Wings, season ticket holder, living here in New York City. It's not easy. Sponsoring the Boston Bruins, it's not easy. And I remember it was a Saturday evening in the NBC Nightly News when I heard about how could a sport that I love be so cruel to an individual playing hockey, first shift on the ice. You fast forward into, we started the company in 2000 here in New York City, and somewhere about 8 years ago, a captain of ours, Captain Rob Young, gave me a call and said, hey, there's something really special that's happening up here just outside of Burlington, Vermont, here in Essex Junction. There's these wiffle ball baseball fields that have been created in the O'Connor's backyard, right? And so as I think about going up to Little Fenway Park for a wiffle ball tournament, of course I would come up. Rob was looking for a little bit of support in terms of can we sponsor a tournament? And now there's 3 wiffle ball tournaments up in Essex. There's Little Fenway, Little Wrigley, there's also the Field of Dreams. Now 13 years going, I've been there for 8 years supporting the tournament on behalf of Rob and so many family and friends. And to think that almost $3 million has been raised through wiffle ball to, again, further the education, the research tied into spinal cord injuries. I'll tell you, Will, it's just a real honor to be here this evening, here in downtown New York, to share the stage with you, presenting the Spirit of Courage Award on behalf, again, of the Reeve Foundation. So as I close, let me just say again to the O'Connors, thank you. I think about certainly Lee and Brenda, Travis's parents, Margie, so many people who have put together something really special up in Burlington, Vermont that has made a difference, as you mentioned, grants to so many people. So, Will, as I close, thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts with you, and I'm very honored to present the Spirit of Courage Award with you to our hero, Travis Roy.
I love you.
Love you too. Yep. Okay. Love you too, man.
That's good.
There we go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Super.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely love you, Ben.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, go.
Take it away.
All right. Let me scoot over here a little closer to, away from the podium. First of all, thank you, Will. Those were extremely kind words. I remember meeting Will when I spoke at the Brunswick School a few years ago, and I always wondered, you know, how he was doing. I knew he was a hockey player, so I was also curious how good he was. But when I met him within a few seconds, you just knew Will was going to be just fine, and he's a remarkable person. And his parents, although not with him long enough, certainly instilled upon him just amazing grace, amazing wisdom, and I'm proud to be up here with you, Will. And I also want to thank Dave for being there tonight, along with the support that he and JetBlue have shown for me personally, and for the Travis Roy Foundation Wiffle Ball Tournament. Dave is a big reason for the growth of our Wiffle Ball Tournament, as the event now raises over $500,000. One of the things that I most appreciate about Dave, though, is as busy as he is, and he is a busy man, when you spend time with him, he makes you feel like you're the only one that matters, and it's a special tribute. And I also have to say, I've also witnessed his quiet generosity, and I can only imagine how many other stories of incredible kindness are out there that Dave has his fingerprints on. And as I say, I'm truly honored to call Dave a friend, and I love him. I do. In the summer of 1995, I lived with a host family in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. which allowed me to work out with a hockey team at Boston University, and as I'd be a freshman there later that fall. But there was one weekend where I went back took the drive up to Yarmouth, Maine, to spend the weekend at home with my parents. And you're always going to go to your local barber, so I needed a haircut. And so I walked the 200 feet from my front door across South Street to go see Bill, the barber. And I remember I walked in, sat down in the waiting area, and picked up the recent People magazine, and on the cover was a photo of Christopher Reeve with the headline citing his tragic accident that had occurred less than a month earlier. And I remember reading the article and wondering what he and his family must be going through. And I didn't even know Chris. But just reading the article, I had a physical reaction of numbness and could only imagine what his family was feeling. I also remember seeing the photo of Dana, thinking how beautiful she was, and wondering how she was going to cope with a 2-year-old son and a husband on a ventilator. I remember thinking if that was me, I wouldn't want to live. That there couldn't possibly be any quality or happiness living a life as a quadriplegic. Little did I know, 4 months later, I would find myself on a ventilator in the ICU, looking up from my hospital bed at the faces of my parents, my sister. I was about to find out whether my belief after reading the article on Chris was correct. Was life as a quadriplegic still worth living? The first year after spinal cord injury is the most devastating. There are so many losses, so much sadness, so much transition and change in the relationships around you. At the same time, there is a natural outpouring of support. My family and I, from that very first day on, we have witnessed the very best of humanity, and it is unbelievable. For me and for most STI survivors, it is that support that gives us reason to live. It was my friends and family who continued to come to my bedside that kept my spirit alive. It was my girlfriend whose life I consumed as she did everything she could to help me find myself again. It's been the people that I've never met that have sent me cards after reading my book or emails after hearing me speak. It's been the dinners and the movie night out with my coach at BU, Coach Barger, that helped put a smile back on my face. Lunches with my Tabor Academy friends and teachers that helped connect my old life with my new life. In receiving the Christopher Reeve Spirit of Courage Award, I can tell you my courage has come from my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, my nieces, my nephew, my grandmother, my friends, and from strangers alike. I'm constantly re-energized by the thousands of people that believe in and support the Travis Roy Foundation. As important as it has been for me to raise money for research, I will also never forget my fellow spinal cord injured survivors and their families that I've met over the years. Sure, they want a cure too, but sometimes a proper lift to get their loved one from their bed to their wheelchair so that they don't injure their own backs is a bigger priority. My favorite quote from one of our grantees was from a father named Chris, and we helped him purchase a lift so that he could get to the second floor of his house so he could tuck his kids in bed. And he wrote a thank you letter, and he said, when he rides that lift up, he thanks God. And on the way down, he thanks the Travis Roy Foundation. The work at the Travis Roy Foundation has helped me transition from my life, one full of passion back when I was a hockey player, to one full of purpose. In fact, for the first time in nearly 19 years, I felt the sense of that passion return and merge with my purpose to help others with spinal cord injuries and to fund hope. More than anything, though, my courage has been fueled by hope. My hope that someday I will regain significant pieces of my independence again. It's exciting. For the first time since my injury, to have a clinical trial and the big idea that appears will finally change my life. It's the big step forward that we've all been waiting years for. Hope is finally tangible. That's a big deal. I know it's not all that glamorous to talk about improved bowel bladder. Improved bowel function, bladder function, sexual function, but when you go 19 years without it, it's pretty exciting. So you did hear me say the return of sexual function. I was thinking the ladies here tonight might want to get in on this investment. I'm actually not much of a comic. I think I'm channeling Robin Williams tonight. But he'd be proud of me, right? That was a good line. As you've heard and will hear more about later this evening, the big idea is the trial. It's not fully funded, but tonight I'm excited to let the people at the Christopher Reeve Foundation know that the Travis Roy Foundation would like to pledge $425,000 to help. We've had a great relationship, and I'm excited to help fund one of the 36 clinical trial participants. And this trial, it can't happen soon enough. In 2002, Christopher Reeve said, "Nothing of any consequence happens unless people get behind an idea. It begins with an individual, and they share the idea with more individuals. And eventually, it becomes a movement." Tonight, the Travis Roy Foundation is thrilled to support this movement, the big idea. I want to thank my family and friends that have come here tonight, but more importantly, I want to thank them. I want to thank them for being there for the last 19 years. I also want to thank those in the audience that have been supporting the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation for all these years. Quite frankly, it's easy to be there for the first couple of years, and I applaud you for continuing with the journey. I receive this award tonight on behalf of everyone that has supported me in the work of the Travis Roy Foundation. I may be the front man, but my success has come from so many incredible people. They've helped give me a life that is every bit worth living, a life that has purpose, a life that is full of quality, and a life that has happiness. So thank you so much again to Will, to Dave. It's been a great night. Thank you.